I remember when I met my teacher. His name is Pir Vilayat. And I had the good fortune to have an interview with him. First, it was a camp. It lasted 2 weeks. And in that period of time, there was the opportunity for a few people. So I was given the chance to speak with him directly. And he asked me, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want to die." And he understood I didn't mean physically. He said, "That's a lot to ask." But what I was feeling was very dissatisfied with myself. I had, at that point, I had been in a PhD program in computer science, a relatively new field. And I'd done very well in that. And then I had this spiritual awakening, which I had to follow, and it changed everything. So I had some experience already of this process of dying, in a sense, because I'd abandoned my PhD. All I had left to do was a dissertation, which was not a big deal, but I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to get on with what I felt was a very important period in my life, and maybe I could contribute to what was happening in the world, which was intense. Vietnam War. And so I changed everything. My priorities, my interests, how I spent my time, where I thought my life was going. Everything was different. I was full-time working in the peace movement, which was a lovely time. I enjoyed that very much. Gave up my scholarship. So there was no turning back. There isn't usually. What's done is done. But I was still dissatisfied. I knew there was, the problem was this. The peace movement is a negative thing. We're against things like war. And you'd say, well, you'd think you'd be positive, right? Or we're pro-peace, yeah, but that's harder to define than what we're against. And after some years of working that way, it was clear to me that a much more fundamental shift had to happen in society. And I wanted to be part of that. It's not politics. It's not one country against another. It's global. It's human. Anyway, I felt all the same illnesses in myself that I saw in the society. And I thought, there's got to be a way to just change this. And I was talking to somebody that I felt, maybe has the key. How do you really change? Transform. So little did I know, but here I had stumbled into a school, a method, which had a slogan very much like what I wanted. The slogan was, "Die before death and resurrect now." Why wait? What does resurrection mean? So this there's a continuity of being, so here I was going through all these changes, but actually I was becoming more and more myself. And that's what we're talking about here, this death that we're working with this weekend, is to get rid of that which is in the way and no longer needed. It might have been very valuable once, but things have a kind of expiration date, don't they? And even ideas, certainly the body does. Of course, that the cells in your body are continuously dying and being reborn, and yet the body has a continuity to it. We're still recognizable. Here I am at 78. Well, perhaps recognizable as from what I was as a younger person. I don't know, there's nobody around that can tell me that anymore. Nobody left that knew me then. But this is the amazing thing, is that somehow the new cells are, a cell divides and forms another one, which then takes its place and knows what to do and knows that it's split off from a bone cell and it's going to have to do the bone cell work and not the blood cell work and so on. That's a specialty. So there's this continuity in change, continuous change everywhere, and yet something remains the same and something gets better, possibly. Well, that's the thing about transformation. Transformation requires change, but it requires more than change. It requires change in a direction with an intention. So to begin with this weekend, let's think about how we've changed. Think about how you've changed. Like, what idea did you have when you were young that you've completely abandoned now? You've just changed completely with that idea. You have anything like that? Of course, there are other ideas which you've held on to, right? That have gotten perhaps even stronger and more allegiance to them. But I think there's a bushel of ideas that have just gone to the recycling bin. They've outlived their usefulness. The same with your interests. Right? They're stronger than ideas. They're things you spend time on. Like, think about how you spent your time when you were young. And did that lead to an occupation, or was that kind of work repeated later in your life? Did you get good at it? Did it just become, a thing, a hobby, a passing interest? How about the people that you liked when you were younger? Do you like the same kind of people? Maybe. We've learned a lot, haven't we? We've learned a lot about what people are like and what varieties there are. And so I'm sure we've honed our sense of what we find admirable and attractive. Some people have gone the other direction. They find people less and less interesting, and no one's admirable. This leads to terrible isolation. But if you've been able to find beauty and harmony and love in people, then you've gotten closer to them, and the circle of people that you admire has grown. along with that saying about die before death, why wait? We have a slogan about how the words of Hazrat Khan. What was life to you when you were younger? Now it seems like death. And what was death to you then? Now it seems like life.